John. I appreciate you all coming out this morning. Exciting presentation. I'm really excited about it. But to answer John's question, what is Mission Multiplier? Well, it's something I'm really passionate about, actually. We have a unique business model. I think it's very different than a lot of other companies. We're very much community-minded. We're focused on giving back. Not only doing innovative, great, cool cyber work that I'm very passionate about, but passionate about building a community and helping to grow the expertise and share the wealth of resources that we provide. So for every hour that an employee works for Mission Multiplier, we give a portion of the proceeds of profit to a local charity of their choice. So they're only working for the man, and hopefully I'm not the man, but they're working for something they're really passionate about and are inspired by. So with that, let me dive into our presentation. We've got something very, very exciting to talk about today. Cyber common operating picture. So it's kind of a buzzword that's out there right now. But let's talk about what it means and where it's derived from and what it's built from. So generally, this idea of a common operating picture, I know a lot of folks in here are from town and support their arsenal in some ways. The idea of common operating picture is really sourced from the military term, understanding the troops, supply chain, troops on the ground. What's my common operating picture, and how do I understand what the parts are that I need to fulfill my mission, all in kind of one perspective or one view. And the application of that to cybersecurity is relatively new. But this whole idea of common operating picture is really just a new term for some old idea. And that's really getting to the concept that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's not me on the screen there, unfortunately. It was really first coined by the philosopher Aristotle. And the idea here is that it's important to understand the holistic perspective of any system that's out there, any view, to really fully understand where you are. So it was really first understood from the human body perspective that you can't really move your arm without your brain telling you where to go and the blood flowing to your heart. So you have to understand the holistic view of whatever system that is, or organism. So that's the idea. So next slide. So let's talk about the application of that idea to the cyber common operating picture. So this has been really codified and formalized now. So there's new guidance in the Joint Application 312R, cyberspace operations. It is very much a DoD document, but it defines this idea of cyber common operating picture as something that is a goal for all of us. It really defines it as real-time, comprehensive situational awareness, the ability to rapidly fuse, correlate, and display data from different sensors in your environment. So again, the idea here is that we need to get an understanding, similar to Aristotle, of your human body and how it works, to how does your IT system, how do your programs and your networks, how do they all come together, what are their issues, and how do you manage that holistic environment comprehensively. So some of the key features that I'm going to talk about here are how do we use the automated tools and technologies that you have out there, the different scanners across different domains, whether it's your configuration management or vulnerability scanners, and really using that to the data that you collect from those scanners, how do you normalize, aggregate it, and then how do you provide the continuous monitoring of your IT systems, networks, and programs. And then how do you use that information in near real time to better manage your risk? That's ultimately what we're trying to do. And then candidly, it really allows you to apply those resources in a way that makes you a more informed risk decision making and ultimately drives down your costs. And that's really what we all care about is how do we do things more efficiently, effectively, and manage the resources that we have. So this idea of cyber common operating picture or cyber cop is really where it's at right now. It's how do you use the data to make more meaningful risk management decisions? So very powerful idea. Next slide. So let's talk about the challenging environment that we're all faced with and why this is so important. So, and a lot of you in the room here operate in these types of organizations that are very disparate, decentralized. You have different subcomponent organizations. They have different missions. There's different personalities. People, they're using different tools. There's different architectures or enclaves of data. And then even the data types, the sensitivity of the data that's being processed across these disparate missions are all different. So this is an incredibly complex environment that we're dealing with. And to be candid, if you're a CISO, CIO, or an IT manager, this is daunting. This is is daunting stuff. How do you get a view, how do you manage to a risk profile, a uniform risk profile, when you have all these variables? So it's a very, very complex environment. So the reality is, given this environment, you have some very, very difficult challenges. Very difficult to get that comprehensive view. Often you're setting performance metrics, and it's really difficult to get a consistent view of what those are, how to measure them. And having complete visibility of your environment right now in this organization is almost impossible. And then the reality is, in conversations with folks in the industry, you really operate on a gut feel or instinct. And there's a handful of people out there that are very highly intuitive and almost psychic, and they make good decisions and it works. But the reality is that other 99%, they're not making the right decisions. So you have to have the data to make those decisions, and that's what this solution is all about. And then obviously, if you don't have the data, there's this competing political push-pull. You know, you're more easily influenced by some more political variables that are out there because you don't have the data to defend against the decisions you're making. And then again, like I talked about, the cost to manage this type of environment without understanding it very well is very, very high, and because you can't prioritize what you have. So next set of slides here. So what is the solution? And this is very, very much a high-level view here. There's a lot of detail. I'm going to talk through each of these in more detail. At a high level, it's really about driving behavior change. So we want to pull data from the sensors that you have out there, aggregate and normalize that data, which is a challenge in its own right. And then you want to create some data analytics to help drive the behavior that you want. And there's some sophistication there, and we've been able to come up with some ideas that really help drive, that push the needle around overlaying a behavioral science-based heuristic to help drive the right behavior that we want. But that behavior has to be built on what I call key effectiveness measures. So what are the metrics that are most meaningful to you and your organization? And that's what we need to be measuring. So that idea of effectiveness measure is really, really important. You have to have the right tools then to actually enable the collection of the data to support the definition of a measurement of those measures. And then also you have the architecture to actually enable the process flow or information flow of the information you have. And then there's quite a bit of secret sauce associated with this. You have to come up with a custom algorithm and specific scripts, again, tailored to what you want to measure to help drive the right behavior. And the way that I characterize this is you want to create a risk economy. So you want to drive the behavior you want, but you want to enable friendly competition using an incentive structure to help present where you are and where you need to go and help drive the behavior you want. So there's some secret sauce, there's some change management call, there's some tailoring, it takes some time, but you need to think through what those algorithm scripts look like. And then the idea is that, again, all the data is ultimately going to be pushed to a risk scoring dashboard. And how you structure the dashboard is of critical importance. It has to be easily digestible and understood. It has to be actionable. You have to present data that's actionable. It has to be actionable at multiple levels. So your commander, C-suite folks need to be able to see how well am I doing, how well am I training. Your business folks need to be able to say, hey, what business departments are doing well and how well they're doing against specific domains within cyber. And then at the security practitioner level, it's just more you need to review what are the specific changes or issues I need to make to fix those changes. And so the next time you run these scans, and again, the cadence is going to be whatever you want to set it at, you're running and creating a system where you're pulling automated data feeds in based on what's important to you, measuring it and scoring it, and incentivizing behavior based on those scores. And over time, you're changing the culture, you're changing the game of your organization. But you have to do this slow. This is not something that's out of the box, it's not something you flip the switch. You have to take it in bite-sized chunks and build it over time. You have to show wins. You have to show, hey, we're doing this really well for identity management. We're doing this really well for incident management. And then you build and you expand. So these key building blocks are very, very important. I want to talk through each one in a little bit more detail. So next slide. So again, this sounds scary, but the reality is, I've been doing this for a long time, working with a lot of different organizations. A lot of people out there don't have a good handle on their mission. And what I recommend, first and foremost, if you haven't done it already, to do what I call business impact assessment. What are those business processes that are fundamental to your mission? What are the key components that enable your mission? What are the key data? What are that to even begin this cybercop solution. You need to know your mission, what are the building blocks, and what it means. So doing that business impact assessment, truly understanding what's important and what's not, is critical. Again, fundamental philosophy here, not everything is created equal. So you got to focus on the stuff that's important. You need to understand what's important to your mission, and then you can move on. So next slide. So we need to move on understanding your mission. So okay, how does that inform or influence? What are those key effectiveness measures? This is a really, really important concept. So because this really underpins how you're going to build your solution. Again, not everything's created equal. So what's not and what's important to you? We need to figure that out. So the first thing you have to do is really understand that, and we got to kind of move away from some of the traditional compliance type mindset that we might have. A lot of people, press the button one time. A lot of people, look at, hey, I just need to look at this, or I need to look at some compliance framework. Do I have a process? Do I not? Do I have a structure? Do I just kind of check the box kind of mentality? But the reality is, I'm using this example on the screen here. Whether you have a process, in this example, you have a process to remove unauthorized hardware, whether you have a process or not, it doesn't mean you're doing it well. It doesn't mean you're doing it effectively. It doesn't mean it's really helping your organization. So whether you have it or not, it doesn't matter. It may matter for a compliance checkpoint perspective. I get it. But we got to move beyond that. And that's where we need to move when we talk about how you define key effectiveness measures. So if you click this next slide. So here, kind of following this example now, you can build a metric that includes attributes of timeliness, accuracy, and coverage. So not only do you now know you have a process on whether you can remove unauthorized hardware, you now know you can find and remove unauthorized piece of hardware within 24 hours, and who's doing it, and where it's happening. So now you can start to understand, hey, is this really effective? Is this working? What's my tolerance? Can I be, not know something for 24 hours? Can it be 48 hours? Do I need to, if it's on the network, only 1 hour? Again, we're all security professionals here. You cannot be 100% secure. So you have to understand, hey, what's the tolerance? What's the variance that you're willing to accept? So you have to understand, have that understanding when you start moving forward. And then ultimately, kind of the nirvana here, it takes time to get there. Again, like I said, this is an evolution. You don't do this overnight, but ultimately want to define the probability of what you're willing to accept from a risk perspective. And following the example here, that the probability that a compromise is caused by unauthorized hardware within specific control limits. So you want to define the parameters of what you're willing to accept, and then you work around those boundaries. And then the idea, the secret sauce, and the algorithm that we've created and we can tailor is how you pull the automated feeds from the different tools to create that algorithm, and then you have triggers that will enable you to understand, hey, am I within my parameters or outside of those parameters? So you want to create a system that's going to measure what's important to you in near real time using automated tools defined with real effectiveness measures, not just to check the box, hey, do I have it or not, but is it working, and is it working within the bounds that are important to me, that are important that align with my risk profile? So fundamental idea. One of the first things we do outside of doing a business impact assessment, understanding the mission is, going to the C-suite or commander level. What are those metrics or measures that are fundamental to you that you want to see at different levels, at the executive level and at the business level? What are those measures that you want to see at the system level? There's a little bit more specificity there. What do they want to look at? You can build against those domains, those parameters, and help set the construct for how you want to develop a program. So very, very powerful idea that we need to start getting hold of. Again, I feel like most industries on the left here, we got to keep pushing to the right. And this idea of, cyber conduct picture is really, we have to drive to the right to do it. Next slide. All right, so one of the building blocks was the right tools and technology. So you now define the measures. So how do you get there? Well, you have to make sure you have the right tools and technology that can capture the information to enable you to measure what you want to measure. So, in doing this numerous times, come to run into a situation where, hey, we want to measure this. That sounds great, fantastic, but you don't have the tools to do it. So you either got to procure the tools or figure something out. So, or hey, let's focus on something else with the tools that you have and leverage what you have first. So there's kind of a balancing act here, but you got to make sure you have the right tools, so you have the capability to capture the information that you need. obviously those tools need to make sure that they can capture accuracy, the coverage, and timeliness, those other capability measures I was talking about. You want to make sure that those tools have that capability as well. Architecture, again, talking earlier, this is a kind of a pretty sophisticated issue, but how the data flows in, where you're capturing it from different tools, whether you're enclave, secure environment, how do you move data, and how does that work? It gets sophisticated really quick, I'll be honest with you, especially when you're dealing with critical infrastructure type systems. The reality is you might have multiple databases that's feeding into different, into your dashboard based on the sensitivity of that data. How you design your database and then the back end is very, very important because that's going to really dictate what you can do with your dashboard, how you present your information, where your measures. So design the database, design the architecture, and how you're routing the data flows, very, very important. So this is, again, not something that you can just tackle. Hey, I want to do one cyber pop, and Jane, let's do it. We can do it in a week. Let's make it happen. You got to be very, very thoughtful about this. We got to go through understanding around, again, what you're measuring, what you need, and then how does it support your architecture, and if you need to make any modifications to your architecture, and what are the implications of that. So really, really important to have that. So the secret sauce, don't want to get too technical here, but you're capturing data, you got the tools, you developed your database, you're aggregating it, and you have to develop custom algorithms and scripts to make sure you're presenting the data that you want, and you're incentivizing the right behavior. This is really difficult to be candid, because the prioritization of that data is really what you're driving to. You have to make sure that how you develop these scripts are going to give you the information in the right priority order, and that they're tailorable and customizable because they're going to change. What happens often is you're looking at one data set and you correlate with another data set, so you know this person has some configuration management issues, but it's a terminal known for phishing attacks. So you have a multiplier, so you can tune the multiplier to say, well, hey, if this terminal, we know it's a known threat, is being targeted, if something is out of line there, the grade on it just shoots off the charts. And so they got an app for whatever score 0, 100, whatever structure you're using. You can manipulate those queries and scripts to have some customization. But again, you want to help drive the right behavior based on these. And this takes a little bit of time, but it's exciting when it works. And I've seen it work multiple times. You set all this up, and we're doing this now for numerous clients. But when you do these queries right, it's giving them the information, it's changing the behavior. But you gotta think through this in a very informed way. But how you organize it is pretty powerful. So then ultimately this is, you're driving behavior change, you're collecting data, you have these scripts, you have custom algorithms, you got your back-end architecture set. Again, it's no small feat, but then ultimately what happens with this? Well, it informs this dashboard. And the dashboard is going to give you a grade, and it's going to give you a grade about enterprise level or whatever the scope of the solution that you currently have. Again, you can build this incrementally, and that's what I would recommend. Focus on a specific domain, the department, organization, scan that and show progress. But ultimately, you get to the enterprise level, there's a grade, you can trend and show scores, whatever cadence you want. It could be daily, weekly, monthly, and the metrics that you have up there for the executives, what are those 2, 3 key metrics that they want to have a pulse on or a beat on? They get to see that, and ultimately this actually becomes your risk management tool or primary console to manage your program. And then at the business level, they get to build around what are the metrics that are important for them. So they get to know, hey, these are my key business processes, I want to make sure I'm managing against those, and what are those measures that they can see, and then your IT level as well. So, I don't want to get too deep here, but there's a way you can see, and I encourage all of you to go to our booth. We have a view here, a demonstration that shows you at the executive level, hey, there's a trend. We were doing really well, but we're starting to trend down. And why? Well, you can kind of click on the business unit and say, well, this business unit is not doing very well. And let's say the incident management, they're doing really poor. What's going on? You drill down, and you can see, well, there's a bunch of different domains here. It looks like malware is an issue. And you click on malware, and it goes down to IP, user ID, targets are out of variance by how many thousands, and it turns out a huge stream of corn. So from the top to the bottom level, you can see that there's the dashboard. Ideally, you should be able to show, hey, I'm starting to trend down, but why? And it provides you with a drill down flow of information that's actionable to make changes, to make fixes, to help your risk watcher. So the next time that scan comes, whatever the cadence is, you get a better grade. And the key takeaway for this too is, again, that risk economy. So if you have a disparate organization with multiple component groups, they're stored and they're working to compete against each other, and they're incentivized to get better scores. So, there's a friendly competition around how well I'm doing, how well I'm not doing. So that helps drive the behavior change that you want. And again, fundamentally, this is an evolution. To do this right, it's not out of the box, not a one and done. This has to evolve with your program. You're going to bring on a new system, your scope will change from a mission perspective, you'll change your organizational structure. There's all kinds of changes. The organization happens all the time. So if you have a solution, you have to evolve with those changes. So you have to make sure that you're maintaining and managing the solution and able to capture that cyber common operating picture as your organization evolves. So this is very much an evolution and an ongoing event. This is not a specific tool that you turn on and flip a switch and, I've got a cyber common operating picture, I just bought it, I am good. Stamp the box, I'm compliant. This is, hey, we got something, we need to tailor it, we need to build it to what's right for the organization, and then we need to evolve with it. So it's very, very important. So again, it's powerful, but it's no small undertaking. So again, I started out with the implications earlier that there's some key challenges around the environment that we have, this distributed environment where different people, different missions, different architecture, different data sets, very difficult to manage the same risk profile. But if you truly put the time and energy to develop these key effectiveness measures, what's important for you, what's meaningful for you, you can track and monitor that at enterprise-wide level as you incrementally grow and build this program or solution out over time, so you can manage to it. And you can move away from the kind of gut feelings to management profile to, I'm building and making my decisions based on real data analytics. I know what the risks are. I can even build in if-then scenarios where if this happens, I know what the risk will be based on this systematic algorithm that I have. So you can go to your leadership, or if there's some political intrigue occurring, saying, hey, listen, I get that we might need to do this, but if we do this, this is what happens, and I have real data to support that. So you really are managing it from a true analytics perspective. And again, the political push-pull you can work against that by creating this risk economy, so you're incentivizing the behavior that you want by scoring, by getting people to really believe in using this tool as their true management platform. So you're building the right behavior that you want, you're incentivizing the right behavior. And then finally, again, everybody cares about cost, resources, application resources. By doing this, you're streamlined, you're efficient. Right now, most organizations, they spend money, but they're not making it based on rational data. You have rational data, and you can make decisions that are effective and that are prioritized, and frankly, where it matters the most is mitigating the risk to your mission. So again, this cyber problem operating picture is very conceptual, and we've done this for real clients. This has been implemented, and we're doing this. But this makes incredible impact, but it's changing the game. We have to move away from the traditional check the box where, hey, I got an issue, vulnerability, traditional assessment process where, hey, what are you doing well, what are you not doing well, here's some recommendations to what are you not doing well, and how should we change our behavior, how should we modify our behavior to make those fixes in near real time based on data analytics. That's where the game has to go for cyber. For us to be effective, we have to leverage automated tools and technologies because we just can't work enough hours in a day. And we have to make meaningful decisions based on specific metrics and data that's relevant to your mission. So with that, I know I covered a lot of ground, but I really would love to hear some of your thoughts, ideas, questions. Yes, sir.
So Kim Armstrong behaviors are they exhibiting in a real-time basis? And is that nominal behavior? Is that off-nominal? If it is, we want our cyber cop to alert us to that off-nominal behavior. And then we look at every system, every device, every software process as a potential friend, foe, or unknown. It may be operating nominally today or in the last hour or two, but that process could go off nominal and cause significant issues. And so all of those kind of issues and situational awareness needs to be integrated. And then obviously that's tied to what's happening in the threat environment, what's crossing your boundary in terms of data traffic, and what's leaving your boundary, because as that operational environment changes, the kind of information you want from your cop and the kind of responses that you want that to propel from your staff are significantly different based on what's happening with the threat in your operating environment. But an incredibly important topic. Really glad to hear about your company, and you've obviously done a lot of good work and thinking in this area. Glad to hear you're working with the Missile Defense Agency.
Yeah, we're excited to have a partnership with a really good program. And we are doing this for real clients. We're doing some work for Tennessee Valley Authority and another Fortune 15 commercial company that doesn't like us sharing their name. So we're doing this. It's very impactful, and again, I feel like this is where the cheese is moving. It's not already there. Any other questions? I encourage everyone to come to our booth. We have a demonstration that's more actionable that shows you how our dashboard works, and my team can tell you some of the more mechanics around how we use it, our data staff, through autonomic protocol, and some other development to enable the normalization and aggregation of data, which is a challenge in all that. So I don't want to get too in depth in some of the technical back end work, but happy to go in as deep as you want to go at our booth or come find me. But any other questions? Yes, Christopher.
Good morning, Jamie. Christopher Pisano with the ISOC Consul Chapter. We're a couple of doors down from your booth, and I wanted to thank Jamie. I met him the first time 3 or 4 years ago, and he had just come into town, and he had a special burn and a look in his eye that he really wanted to be a part of this, and he certainly has proven himself and earned his stripes in our community. And we're real excited to hear who's going to be presenting at the summit this year. I wanted to just share a couple of thoughts. And first of all, what you have presented is excellent, and I believe 100% right on. And I'm with you. And I'm looking forward to the delegates here going to your booth and having a more in-depth discussion. I would like to suggest along the way, I have heard from a couple of little birds that the Army AR-25-2 is evolving, and that it seems to be somewhat reminiscent of the ISACA framework, the control objectives for IT in some aspects. And we're currently at Code 5, and that is about governance and management of IT. And you talked about the checking the boxes and that kind of thing. The neat thing about Code 5 using the ISO 15504 assessment standard is that unlike the old CMM where you kind of get there over 5 levels, at level 1 of 5, which is the very beginning, you have to be totally delivering based on your commitment. And then the levels 2 and above are after you are doing the minimums. So it's a huge accomplishment, and it's a different way to measure the capability, whether it's a process being delivered at a more lower level in terms of an output from the system, or a higher level in terms of how your people and culture are behaving. And the one other thing I'll share for those who look into the framework is it speaks in terms of enablers, and the 7 enablers, and that includes people, process, and culture, organizational structures, processes, and the IT aspects. And so I think it interlocks well. It's just another way of doing things, and it's in the conversation with NIST to CSF and everything else. But again, for our delegates, I'll be very excited, and I'll be over there today looking at your presentation more in depth. And thank you so much again for everything you've done for our city, Mr. Miller.
Thanks so much, Christopher. And just to be mindful of time, and we're just going to be the people out here. So appreciate everybody coming out and available for questions later. Thank you.